8:40, 20 to 9, the time. And let's go to other matters, although this is a story that we covered earlier. It is thousands of victims of the so-called infected blood scandal will receive an interim compensation payment of £100,000. Now, this goes back to the 70s and 80s when the government imported what was called infected blood, riddled with conditions such as hepatitis and HIV. Contaminated blood was brought from the US. It is thought around 2,400 people died as a result. We will never have a definitive answer or number for those who were affected by it. Now, announcing the interim payment was Cabinet Office Minister Kit Malthouse, who was with me in the first hour. He referenced the long campaign in the inquiry, during which former Prime Minister now Sir John Major, said those who had been affected were victims of bad luck.
Well, look, the inquiry is going to look at how this came to pass. As you will know, Nick, this was back in the 70s and the 80s, and the health service at that time was procuring blood products from overseas. They came in and obviously were given to these people unknowingly on their behalf, and the inquiry will tease out all of those issues and come to some conclusion quite quickly. Sir Brian Langstaff, who's conducting the inquiry, is doing so with commendable speed, and we'll know more about these questions in the new year.
Well, yes, that was what Sir John Major said to the inquiry. At least your crop of Conservative politicians seem to be taking it more seriously than possibly one of your former colleagues, Ken, now former Chancellor Lord Clark.
Why do we have to go in such meticulous detail? It's just frightfully interesting, no doubt, but pretty pointless.
Pretty pointless, he said, Mr. Malthouse. Do you agree with him?
No, I don't. And when you read the testimony of some of the people who've been impacted by this dreadful event, it is incredibly moving. Families were devastated. People have obviously lost their lives. They've lived with crippling illness for many decades now, and so it's not trivial at all.
It's a bit crass there, wasn't it, the former health minister?
Yeah, I think those were unfortunate remarks. My obligation now is to make sure that we fulfil the requirements of the inquiry. That's what we're doing today. £400 million just about now flowing out to these people who've been impacted so profoundly over the last 40 years. And as I say, it is an interim payment. Right. There will be more to talk about when the inquiry concludes.
Kit Malthouse speaking in the previous hour. One person who has been affected is May Beautridge, who was given an infected blood transfusion in 1982, subsequently diagnosed with hepatitis C, is in line to benefit from this compensation and has attended some of those inquiry sessions and joins me now. Well, first question, obvious. 40 years, £100,000 as an interim payment. Your reaction? Good morning.
Good morning. Well, obviously, it's good news in the sense that it's going to help people for a while to maybe have a better quality of life, especially those people that are really poorly, that haven't got the funds to probably have the best ending. But yes, it's a breakthrough, and it's also, for me, sort of that they're putting their hands up now, and we've wanted that for years. You know, we've wanted some form of recognition.
How has this affected your life?
Oh, very much. The stigma, my career was affected. I lost all confidence. I think the treatments were horrendous, and I think that had an even bigger impact on quality of life.
What? Do you mind my asking in what way they were horrendous?
To be honest, I think most people at the inquiry have said it just wiped you out. It was absolutely wiped me out, and I did it for 2 weeks.
For two 48-week periods, is that right?
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Gosh, right.
And brain fog, just completely lifeless. I've never regained my sense of smell. Left me with various infections. The treatment, I don't think any money could compensate what you remember of that.
I imagine you're on drugs or medication of some sort every day, are you?
Well, I'm not now, to be honest. I think I've become not wanting to take any medications. I mean,
Right,
probably the odd paracetamol.
You're resistant
But
to it.
unless I need an antibiotic or something, then that's a different story. But I'm not on any permanent treatment now.
Can you put could you put a financial sum to the amount of pain, that suffering, worry, anxiety that you've endured, May?
The truth, I couldn't put a sum on it. So many people say, what do you think? What do you think you'll get? What do you think you should get?
Yeah.
And it sort of goes over my head, because the reality that actually the government are now standing up has been overwhelming, because it's been such a fight. I had a brilliant career travelling around the country.
Right.
I had good quality of life. I went into a mortgage because I thought that I could afford that. And obviously, thankfully, I'm very fortunate that I had a partner that's kept us going. But, I never could think that that was going to happen to me. Overnight sort of thing, you're told you've been given contaminated blood. I have to say, I've attended most of the hearings, certainly Mr. Major. Probably the worst day was Mr. Clark.
I played that just now. I don't know whether you heard it. We played a bit of it.
It was horrendous. He was totally uncaring.
Just to remind everyone, he was health minister at the time, of course.
Yeah, and I think his attitude was, do I have to sit here, listen? Well, yes, you do, because you were the health minister, and there was no compassion. It was
And a comment on
very
when John Major said it's all down to bad luck last
bad
week.
luck.
What would you think?
Well, I thought that if I lost my purse, or I fell over and broke my leg, that's bad luck. Not losing my children, that's not bad luck. That's a tragedy. So there was no compassion for the families that sat there that have lost loved ones.
You lost your children?
No, I didn't, but...
I'm so sorry. Others, the people you were with at the inquiry, I see, of course, how angry they were. Of course, I get it. May, thank you for your time. Perhaps we'll speak again. That money should be in your account by the end of October. I do say it's an interim payment. May Beautridge, a victim of the infected blood scandal.